Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that takes complex stuff and, well, makes it clear, giving you that shortcut to being genuinely in the know. Today, we are diving deep into something that really touches so many lives, supporting someone you care about through cancer treatment, and we're focusing specifically on a role that's often behind the scenes but absolutely vital, the role of the chemo companion. Our main source for this deep dive is this incredibly insightful guide, The Chemo Companion, a caregiver's guide. And what makes it so powerful, I think, is that it's written by a geriatric oncologist, someone who has literally, spent years observing thousands of these days right there in the infusion suite. So this isn't just theory, it's practical, firsthand wisdom. Really a gold mine if you're stepping into this role.
Absolutely. And our mission today for you listening is really to unpack how preparation, and that means the practical stuff, but also the mental and emotional readiness, how that can completely change a chemo day, can shift it from being this really draining, maybe overwhelming ordeal into something manageable, maybe even, dare I say, meaningful for both the patient and the caregiver. Because, the medical team, they handle the powerful drugs, right? But the caregiver, they manage those equally powerful human things: comfort, dignity, peace of mind. It's truly a team effort.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. The guide, it really talks about the profound love and dedication this oncologist saw, but not like in the movies, not big dramatic scenes.
No.
It's in the quiet, sterile hum of the chemotherapy infusion suite. Those small, everyday acts, the guide calls them unsung heroes. When you hear that, unsung heroes, what does that really capture for you?
It captures the essence of it, I think. These actions, they might seem small, adjusting a pillow, getting water, but they are the absolute foundation of the patient's experience that day. They're unsung because, well, there's no applause track, right? It happens quietly. But they are so critical. And why it's indispensable, the guide really points this out. Managing comfort, preserving dignity, offering that peace of mind. It's huge, especially maybe for older patients. They might feel the cold more intensely or find it harder to speak up because of fatigue or that chemo brain fog we hear about.
Why, yes.
Or just the long hours. It can be really draining physically and mentally. The companion is like a buffer, an advocate, taking on some of that load.
And if you're listening right now, maybe this sounds familiar. You might be a spouse, a child, a sibling, a close friend, someone who stepped up into this really vital, heroic role. So this deep dive is definitely for you. We want to share these practical insights, things learned from years of observation, just to make those days a little bit easier, maybe even more meaningful. So one of the big ideas in the guide is building this thing called the Chemo Comfort Kit. And it's not just like a bag of stuff. It's framed as a tangible expression of care, a real toolkit for comfort. The author actually compares it to preparing for a long-haul flight to an unpredictable climate. I thought that was a great analogy. You got to be ready for anything.
It really is perfect. And speaking of that unpredictable climate, comfort and warmth, that's number one. Infusion centers are just notoriously chilly. It's partly the air conditioning, partly infection control.
Right.
And then the chemo itself can make patients, especially older adults, feel chilled right down to the bone. Changes in metabolism, circulation, layers are your absolute best friend. That's a key insight. Simple, but so effective.
Yeah, makes total sense. And the source suggests bringing a familiar blanket from home, like a soft fleece or maybe a quilt they love. Obviously, it's warmer than the thin hospital ones, but the guide points out the psychological comfort, too. It's huge.
Oh, vast.
It's like a little piece of home, right, in that sterile place. What else for warmth and support?
Exactly. That familiarity is just as important as the actual BTUs, So, besides the blanket, cozy layers. A zip-up hoodie is great. Soft cardigan, easy on, easy off over an IV line.
Good point.
And feet. Don't forget warm footwear. Thick, fuzzy socks or comfy slippers, but definitely with non-skid soles. Safety first if they need to walk around.
Okay.
And for just sitting there for hours. A U-shaped neck pillow. Lifesaver for naps. Prevents that awful neck crick. And maybe a small soft pillow for lower back support. Makes a real difference over a long sit.
Okay, warmth covered. Next up, sustenance. The guide really hammers home hydration and nutrition, critical on chemo days, but nausea, taste changes, those are so common. Makes eating and drinking really tough.
It's a huge challenge. Because what sounded good yesterday might suddenly be, repulsive today.
Right.
Patients often get that metallic taste, Or suddenly strong smells are just unbearable. So the mistake is assuming their usual favorites will work. The key thing the guide stresses, flexibility and blandness.
Blandness. So
The body needs fuel, needs fluids to flush those drugs out, minimize side effects. So you got to get something in.
that's such a good point. So the guide talks about putting together a snack arsenal, and the advice is brilliant. Think like a seasoned traveler, and crucially, avoid strong smells. That can be a huge nausea trigger.
Absolutely.
For hydration, a big insulated water bottle, and the source mentions adding lemon or cucumber slices makes water less blah.
Yeah, more palatable. Cuts through that metallic taste sometimes.
So what specific snacks are usually the safe bets, according to the guide?
It really leans into bland and comforting. So think crackers, pretzels, plain toast, even like dry Cheerios.
Okay.
For nausea soothers, ginger cheese are great. Peppermint tea bags, you can always ask for hot water.
Huh.
Or crystallized ginger
Mm-hmm.
and things that are soft, easy to digest.
Yeah.
Applesauce cups, yogurt, maybe a simple smoothie you bring in a thermos.
Mm.
And try, if you can, to get a little protein in there. Hard-boiled egg, maybe a mild cheese stick. Just helps with energy without being too heavy.
Small, frequent, non-offensive. Got it.
That's the mantra.
Okay, now this part I found really interesting, diversions. The guide says the waiting is often the hardest part. And when energy is low, having engaging but low-effort distractions is key. Expert, how does waiting actually impact someone psychologically on infusion day?
Well, it's not just boredom, is it?
Yeah.
It's anxious time. You're waiting for blood results, waiting for the pharmacy to mix the drugs, waiting for the infusion itself. That downtime can feel endless, and it lets the mind wander, maybe to anxious places. So the right kind of diversion is like a mental escape hatch, something gentle for the mind that doesn't demand too much focus or energy. The insight is really matching the distraction to their energy level right then.
That makes sense. So what should go in this diversion kit? Obviously the tech kit, tablet, laptop, loaded with movies, shows, whatever they like. Headphones or earbuds are a must.
Crucial.
And the guide really highlights a portable power bank and all the charging cables because wall outlets can be scarce.
Oh, totally. And a dead battery is just more stress you don't need.
Exactly. But also analog options, right? Like a good book, maybe large print crosswords or Sudoku.
On a magazine.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes screens are too much. A physical book or puzzle can be very grounding.
And audio stuff, like an audiobook or a calming playlist or a podcast.
Perfect. Pre-downloaded is key, though, as Wi-Fi can be spotty. Auditory comfort can be great for drowning out the background noise of the clinic, too.
Okay, good tips. Next, essentials, documents, logistics. The guide calls this the Go Binder. Why is a simple binder so important on infusion day?
Yeah, the Go Binder. It sounds simple, but it's vital. Why? Because the caregiver often has to be the second set of ears.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned chemo brain earlier. That mental fog.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
It can make it hard for the patient to track information, remember instructions, or even recall the questions they wanted to ask.
So it's more than just forgetfulness.
Oh, much more. It can affect concentration,
Yeah.
processing speed. It can be really disorienting. So having that second person in that binder with everything written down, it's non-negotiable, really.
Yeah.
Ensures nothing critical gets missed.
Right. So the Go Binder, what goes in it? Current medication list, dosages, frequency, all that.
Yeah.
Insurance card, photo ID, contact info for the whole medical team, and highlighted as non-negotiable, a notebook and pen for jotting down questions before you go and recording answers during the appointment.
Absolutely essential. You think you'll remember, but you often don't.
So true. And personal items. Lip balm chemo is apparently incredibly drying.
It really is.
Yeah.
Lips, skin, everything.
Unscented hand lotion, small pack of tissues, little things, but they add up to comfort.
They make a huge difference in just feeling human.
Okay, so we've packed our kit. We understand the why. Now let's walk through infusion day itself. Knowing the typical flow, the rhythm of the day, can really lower anxiety for everyone. What usually happens first?
Right. Knowing the sequence helps. It usually starts with check-in at the registration desk. Pretty standard. Then a nurse will take vitals, weight, blood pressure, temperature, pulse, and that weight check. It's really important. Chemo doses are often calculated very precisely based on current body weight, so it's not just routine.
Good to know. Then the nurse needs to get IV access, right? Either starting a peripheral IV in the arm,
Yeah, the standard temporary one.
or accessing a portacath if they have one,
Right.
which is that little device under the skin for easier long-term access.
Exactly. These nurses are wizards at it, truly.
Yeah.
But it can still be an anxious moment for the patient, so just being there, being calm and reassuring,
Yeah,
that's invaluable.
definitely. Then comes the blood draw.
Yep. Blood goes off to the lab. They're checking blood counts, especially neutrophils, those infection-fighting white blood cells, and platelets for clotting. It's basically a safety check. Make sure the body is strong enough for the treatment today.
Okay. And then often comes the wait. You mentioned this can be the longest part.
It often is. Waiting for lab results, waiting for the pharmacy to carefully prepare the chemo drugs, it takes time.
Right.
They have to be incredibly precise for safety.
Right.
This is prime time for those snacks, maybe a nap or pulling out the distractions from the kit. The key thing the guide suggests is just managing expectations. Let your loved one know this waiting is normal, it's part of the process, reduces that what's wrong anxiety.
Good advice. And before the actual chemo, pre-medications.
That's right. Drugs given beforehand to prevent or lessen side effects. Very common to get anti-nausea meds, maybe steroids to prevent reactions, sometimes antihistamines like Benadryl.
Benadryl. That can make you drowsy.
It often does, which isn't always a bad thing during a long infusion. It can help them rest.
True. Okay, then finally, the infusion. The main event. The nurse connects the chemo bag. And the duration can vary a lot, right? 30 minutes to 8 days, 8 hours or more.
Easily. Depends entirely on the specific drug regimen. Could be one drug, could be several in sequence. And throughout this time, the nurse is monitoring closely, checking vitals, watching for any reactions. As the companion, your job here is mostly quiet observation. Be ready to flag the nurse if you notice anything seems off, or if your loved one expresses discomfort.
Got it. And once the infusion is done,
the nurse flushes the line with saline, takes out the IV or de-accesses the port, puts on a bandage. Then they'll give discharge instructions, really important stuff about potential side effects to watch for at home, who to call if issues arise.
Notebook time again.
Definitely notebook time again.
Yep.
And they'll help schedule the next appointment before you leave. Connecting this back to the bigger picture, the guide really keeps coming back to this idea. Your most important role isn't just the logistics, the packing, the timing. It's fundamentally human. You're the advocate, the listener, that steady presence. The medical team handles the medicine, sure.
Yeah.
But you're kind of handling the soul care,
That's beautifully put. And the guide talks again about chemo brain here, that fog, how it makes it hard for the patient to really advocate for themselves sometimes, or even remember what they wanted to ask. How can companions best step into that advocacy role?
This is where you really become the scribe and speaker, as the guide puts it. Use that notebook. Write down what the nurse says about home care, meds, symptoms, and crucially, ask the questions you prepared, or the ones your loved one is maybe too tired or foggy to ask.
Right.
If they mentioned a new side effect at home during the week, you bring it up. Don't wait for them to remember. The guide gives great examples. If they look like they're shivering, don't wait. Ask the nurse for a warm blanket. If they seem a bit nauseous, let the nurse know.
You're their voice.
You are their voice when theirs might be quiet. It gives them permission to just conserve their energy.
Yeah. What's fascinating, too, is the guide talking about the power of just presence, emotional, physical support. It's not always about doing something.
Absolutely. The advice is to read the room. Gauge their mood. Are they up for chatting? Or do they just want quiet companionship? Sometimes sitting together in comfortable silence is the most supportive thing you can do. Don't feel like you have to fill every second with conversation. Just being there steadily is a gift.
And the power of touch gets mentioned too. A gentle hand on the shoulder, a foot rub, just holding their hand.
It communicates so much without words, doesn't it? That connection, that security, comfort.
Yeah. And those small acts of service. Adjusting a pillow, refilling water, helping open a snack wrapper, sorting out headphones.
The guide calls them the cornerstones of comfort.
I like that.
Yeah. They seem small, individually, but together, they send such a clear message. I'm here, I'm with you, I'm taking care of you.
Yeah.
It builds this incredibly strong bond of care, makes the whole experience more bearable.
It really does sound like being a chemo companion is, well, it's a profound journey. It takes incredible patience, resilience, deep compassion, demands a lot, but must give back in ways that are hard to measure.
No doubt. And the guide closes with this message that, wow, it really hits home, especially thinking about the oncologist witnessing all those days. It says basically, on the tough days, remember your presence alone is powerful medicine.
Wow.
You're not just carrying a bag of supplies, you're carrying the hope, the love, the support that sustains your loved one. It really reaffirms that what you do, sitting in that chair beside them, it's heroic work, truly.
That is powerful. So as you listening reflect on this deep dive, maybe take a moment to consider how often the most profound care isn't the big dramatic stuff, but that quiet, consistent support through routine challenges. Who are the unsung companions making a difference in your own life or in the lives of people you know? And maybe, how can we all better recognize and celebrate that invaluable presence?